Hey, and welcome to the third map of Heretic's Hellmoor episode. This is the River of Fire. The first thing we need to do is run to the back of this room and hit the switch at the back of here. It opens up some doors at the side there. Remember where that blue key is there? It's very easy to forget about that, and quite a few players come into this level, forget about where it is later on when they actually need it, and then get frustrated with this one. This level is pretty unique in design. It's a very linear sort of pathway that circles around on itself. It's not quite asymmetric, but it's pretty damn close. We're going to grab as much health and as many of those bombs as we can on the way back. We're going to grab that shield, and as we head to the top of the steps here, there's a whole bunch of monsters there waiting for me. What I'm going to do, we're going to take all these guys out with the invulnerability ring. There's no reason to not. I'm going to use the gauntlets here because it does help me to save on ammo. The ring of invulnerability really does come through in a pinch here. You can see just how many enemies there are, how many different kinds of enemies there are as well. And the gauntlets here do allow me to kind of get into the nitty gritty and just tear these guys out with absolute abandon for care. And with all those enemies taken out, we can at least safely wander around up here without having to worry too much about enemies tackling me. Obviously there's going to be some stragglers like that. You can see the yellow key up there. As we head around here, you'll see there are a bunch of gargoyles over here. So what these gargoyles tend to do, they tend to sort of gather in this spot here. This is why I kind of like running around at the start, because it means they all kind of congregate in this one area, making it much easier to take them all out. Grab as much ammo and as much health as I need here. The bomb of the ancients. So these are the doors that opened up with that switch. There are some disciples in here that I do need to be careful of. The yellow key is there. We can look out and shoot at that gargoyle over there. There is another enemy on this side that we should take care of. We're going to grab the Tome of Power. Will be very useful in a short while. The yellow door is actually part way around this pathway, so it kind of makes sense for us to just grab as much as we can, just to sort of make sure when we go inside there we're not sort of left too short on health. The room inside here is very deceptive. It looks fairly easy. There's 3 gargoyles floating around, but trust me, when we grab that green key in front of us, the walls will open up and there are some weird dragons waiting to absolutely trounce me. I think there's about 5 or 6 in here. We'll head outside. Again, there's ice physics in play here, so we've just got to be a bit careful as we're moving around. It is a bit more difficult to strafe, but obviously we're going to be able to do that no problem. The real problem in this room comes if you are not careful and you kind of wander into this area without really thinking about what's actually behind those fake walls. It's very easy to get overwhelmed. We'll grab the Wings of Wrath. I might use them later on. Depends on how the later section of this level goes. The green key will allow us to head towards the second part of this level. Take care of you. As we head inside the green door here, I'm going to activate the Tome of Power. It's a good time to use it because there's a bunch of enemies behind this door, which are not difficult, but they are kind of bullet spongy. That's one of the things about Heretic compared to Doom. A lot of its enemies are very bullet spongy, and you'll find yourself sort of shooting a lot more than you'd probably want to into quite a few of these enemies, hoping to take them down. And that's where the Tome of Power really comes into its own in this game, I feel. We'll take care of the disciples down in the exit area there. Makes the end of the level a bit easier. And then we'll come down the other side just to clear out what's on here. Excuse me. With all the enemies dealt with, we can now hit the switch here. Make sure you hit the switch because you won't be able to grab the blue key. Now, do you remember where the blue key is from earlier on? Good. We're going to be heading in that direction. As mentioned, it is entirely possible to forget where the blue key is on this level. It is a bit of a pain like that, and it is kind of hidden, so it is possible for players to completely miss it as they're running around here. But we're going to be grabbing ourselves a new weapon here. As you can see, we've picked up the Phoenix Rod. So this is kind of the most powerful weapon in this game, kind of not. Depends on which way you want to look at it. It is the equivalent of Doom's rocket launcher. It has the same kind of idea, projectile rockets. I do think it's a bit less satisfying to use than the rocket launcher from Doom. And I'm not going to keep comparing it to the rocket launcher. I will be making use of it. I also kind of like its secondary fire. Basically, if you have the Tome of Power activated, it basically, instead of firing a rocket and using up ammo, it'll fire one rocket, and as long as you hold the fire button, you are able to continuously make use of that. And it's really good for taking down some of the enemies we'll be seeing in the future episodes and towards the end of this episode. You're seeing here, though, this is where the Tome of Power really earns its place in our inventory, because here we are just absolutely destroying all of these enemies. These enemies really don't stand much of a chance when we're flying with the Tome of Power. Take care of you. I think that's the last enemy in the level. I'm not quite sure. There's a health staff here, just in case you need it. Unfortunately, it comes a bit too late in the level for my liking. Would have preferred this about halfway through the level. Would have made things a lot easier. You'll see we just picked up some mace spheres. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you the weapon here that is for, but we will be bumping into it in this playthrough, so don't worry about that. I'm just going to quickly show you that there's nothing back at the starter level here to really show off. Sometimes things might open at the starter level. It's always worth just going back just to check. That is the River of Fire, and that's all the enemies, and there were no secrets on this one, so ultimately it was not too difficult to just get through this one. Honestly, I think I remember this level more for the music than I do the actual level itself. Don't get me wrong, I think it's not a terrible level, but I don't think it's among the better Heretic levels that we've played, just because I think that it's a bit silly at points, and there's a lot of lava, a lot of pain floors, and I'm not the biggest fan of pain floors in these games. But let me know what you thought of the River of Fire. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you enjoying Hell's Maw? And have you played it before? Let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.